You're listening to the No Bullshit Vegan Podcast, episode 205, in which I go over the basics of vegan strength training and nutrition, including the 4-part health and body composition hierarchy my coaching team and I use with our clients.
Welcome to the No Bullshit Vegan Podcast, myth-busting and evidence-based advice to help you kick butt with your health and fitness on a vegan diet. Here's your host, Karina Inkster.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Karina, your go-to no-B.S. vegan fitness and nutrition coach. Thanks so much for joining me today. At the beginning of July, I was one of the featured speakers at the Nanaimo Veg Fest on Vancouver Island. Super fun event, very well run. I put together a talk covering all the fundamentals of vegan nutrition to support strength training. And it got a lot of positive comments from folks who were there. So I thought I would share it with you here in podcast form. So if you're new to veganism or strength training, you'll make sure that you're starting right without making any obvious mistakes. And if you're a longtime vegan or lifting pro, you'll make sure that you're covering all your bases. And maybe you'll find an area or two that you can tweak to get even better results. Now, you don't need another diet or another perfect plan or another wasted gym membership. What you need is structure, accountability, and a no-B.S. system that actually works. And that is what our coaching team delivers. You can apply today at karinainkster.com/coaching, and we will build your strength without rules, restriction, or rigidity. So that's karinainkster.com/coaching. Let's get into what was my VegFest talk and is now my podcast episode. Most of us don't wake up in the morning, as far as I know, thinking, you know what I really want today? I want to deep dive into macronutrient timing, muscle protein synthesis, and the finer points of creatine supplementation. As a fitness coach, I do spend plenty of time nerding out on topics like these. But for most people, myself included, training is not about stepping on a bodybuilding stage. It's about hauling groceries up 3 flights of stairs, wrestling the dog into the bathtub, or avoiding a trip to the ER after slipping on an icy sidewalk. So this episode is about practical, no-BS strength training and plant-based nutrition that fits into real life without forcing you to rearrange your entire existence. So whether you're vegan curious or a seasoned lifter, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to focus on to get stronger, fuel that strength with plant-based eating, and still have time for the rest of your life. I'm going to base my points on the health and body composition hierarchy that we use with our clients. It's basically 4 steps to nailing your goals for fitness, for body composition, physique change, all the things. So think of your health and fitness activities like a pyramid. It's got a broad foundation and a narrow peak. The base is your priority, the most important thing, and the peak is least impactful, but it's still part of the big picture. Now, in our case here, the base is your nutrition, your daily food choices. If that base is solid, then your goals, whether they're general health or muscle gain or weight loss or something else, have the support that they need. If that base is shaky, then everything above it falls apart. By the way, many people assume that cardio is the base. They think, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to start running every day, or I'm going to start using the elliptical at the gym. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do cardio. We're going to get to that. But it's actually the very tip of the health pyramid. So the base is nutrition. No amount of training can outwork a poor diet. Without good nutrition, all of your hard work in the gym doesn't have the support it needs. So if nutrition is the foundation, the next question is, what does that look like when you're vegan and presumably not living off of just Oreos and wishful thinking? I'm going to give you some nutrition basics to put into action. But first, I would like to share with you how my team and I approach nutrition in our coaching without diet culture, guilt, or unrealistic rules. So diet culture, if you're not familiar with the term, equates your worth with your weight. Diet culture moralizes food choices by labeling food as good or bad, and it keeps you stuck chasing a perfect body through restriction and guilt. Diet culture puts weight loss at the forefront of fitness, and it values thinness and appearance over physical and mental health. My coaching team and I know that this is straight up bullshit, and we work really hard to foster an anti-diet culture coaching practice. You don't need strict rules or shame to build a strong, healthy body. You just need a foundation that works for real life. So here's how to put that into practice. Health and body composition hierarchy. Step 1 is nutrition. If you want to level up your nutrition so it's more in line with your fitness and your physique goals, then I've got 3 steps for you. Food quality, calories, and macronutrients. So let's start with food quality. When I say quality, I don't mean, is this a 5-star gourmet experience? I mean, is this food going to help you nail your fitness goals? Think whole plants, minimally messed with, mostly cooked by you. In our coaching practice, by the way, we are huge fans of the 80-20 rule, and it applies to so many things. For example, 80% adherence to your ideal workout schedule for 2 years is going to be way more effective than 100% adherence for 2 weeks. So in nutrition, we aim for 80% of our food to be whole food, nutrient-dense ingredients, and 20% whatever you want, but still vegan, of course. Sometimes what someone wants is another big-ass salad or 2 pieces of fruit. Other times what someone wants is a square of dark chocolate. And sometimes it's chocolate mousse, chocolate cake, strawberry sauce, and coconut ice cream all smashed together in a massive goblet. Ask me how I know. Either way, the point is we never aim for, in quotes, perfection. We want less restriction, no moralizing, but we still want to have a simple structure to follow to reach our health, fitness, and physique goals. So what does the 80-20 concept look like in nutrition? Well, we have beans, lentils, veggies, fruit, tofu, tempeh, seitan, whole grains, nuts, seeds. Those are your staples. And then we also have things to fill in the gaps like plant-based meats, ready-made meals, protein powder, and treat foods or fun foods. The goal is not a perfect Instagrammable kale salad every day for lunch. It's a routine you can actually stick with while lifting heavy things, having a life, and hopefully not spending 6 hours every Sunday meal prepping. After food quality, we move to food amount. Not in terms of its volume, like how much of your plate it takes up, but in terms of the energy it gives. If weight loss is your goal, you need to eat fewer calories than you burn every day. And folks who want to gain muscle need to do the opposite. They need to eat more calories than they burn in a day. How does the concept of calories relate to veganism? Well, whole plant-based foods are generally less calorically dense than animal products. For example, you can eat a salad the size of your torso for next to no calories. And a lot of people find that when they first go vegan, they lose weight. And some people want that, while others, especially super active people, do not. So if you're a new vegan and you're eating the same volume of food, i.e. the amount of food on your plate as you did before, you might not be getting as many calories as you did before. And then you can adjust this depending on your goal. If you're not sure what your calorie goal should be, get in touch with me any way you want. Smoke signal, carrier pigeon, although that's probably not vegan. Instagram, Facebook, on the podcast site, no-bullshitvegan.com. Message me in whatever format you want. You can email me if you're old school, and I will send you the link to the calorie calculator that we use with our clients. The third step here within the nutrition realm is macronutrients. Macronutrients, or macros, are the big building blocks in food that our bodies need in large amounts. And those are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So they give you energy, calories, and they help your body build and repair tissues, fuel daily activities, and basically just keep everything running smoothly. So put simply, macros are the main nutrients that fuel you and keep you going. Compare that to micronutrients, which don't give us any calories, but are vital for bodily functions like the immune system and bone health, things like that. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals like iron, zinc, and vitamin C. But today I'm going to focus on macronutrients. When we work with clients, we always start with protein. We first figure out what someone's protein goal is, and then we fill in the rest of their calories with carbohydrates and fats, which are lower on the priority list as long as they're not way too low or way too high. Protein needs vary from person to person, as you probably know. Your protein goal will depend on your activity level, the type of training you do, your physique goal, whether you're currently in a calorie deficit, a whole bunch of factors. In general, as a blanket statement, strength training vegans will need between 1.6 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight per day. Now, if you're not sure how much protein you need, you can check out our super easy to use vegan-specific protein calculator on our website, karinainkster.com/protein calculator. And then you can fill in the rest of your calories with carbohydrates and fats. Eating enough protein does not have to be complicated. You need a handful of go-to protein-dense ingredients, like your tofu and your tempeh and your seitan, and then you're basically good to go. Some of my favorites are also edamame and fava bean tofu, which I've mentioned a bunch on the podcast, and protein powder to fill in some of those gaps. So nutrition is the foundation of our health pyramid. The next most important layer is strength training. Strength training is the cornerstone of health and independence at any age. Strength training uses resistance to induce muscle contraction. And that resistance can come from any number of things, including dumbbells, kettlebells, resistance bands, barbells, or even your own body weight. If you trip on the sidewalk, what keeps you from face planting on the ground? It's not your cardio, it's your strength. Your reflexes, your core, and your ability to stabilize are what save you. Cardio helps you live longer, and strength training helps you live better. It's what keeps you climbing stairs, getting off the floor, carrying your groceries in your 80s and your 90s, and doing it all without pain. Any type of exercise is going to give you great benefits like heart health, mental health, improved sleep, boosted immune function. But here are 4 benefits you're going to get only, or at least most effectively, from strength training. The first is bone density. Bone density is the amount of calcium and other minerals in our bones. And bone density decreases as a natural part of aging, but the good news is you can prevent and slow down this bone loss by strength training regularly. Second is increased muscle mass. Muscle is essentially your health insurance. One meta-analysis found that low muscle strength was associated with a 1.5 to 2-fold increased risk of dying from any cause. And another study found that muscle mass was more predictive of longevity than BMI. Third, strength training keeps you doing what you love for decades longer. I assume you don't just want to be alive at 90. You want to carry groceries, get up off the floor, travel, play with grandkids, and strength training is the most effective way to maintain mobility and independence later in life. And last, it's the only way to prevent age-related muscle loss. After age 30, we lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade, unless you lift. And after age 50, by the way, muscle loss accelerates up to 15% per decade without strength training. And resistance training is the only thing that consistently maintains or increases muscle mass as we get older. Imagine yourself at 100 years old, still active, still independent, and strong enough to confuse your doctor. There's no exact formula, but a good place to start is whatever you want to do when you're 100, you need to be doing 2.5 times that in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. So for example, if you want to be able to pick up a suitcase or a small child from the ground, essentially deadlifting 40 pounds, when you're 100, you'll need to be deadlifting 100 pounds now, which is 2.5 times 40. If you want to walk up 4 flights of stairs in 2 minutes when you're 100, now you need to walk up 10 flights of stairs in 2 minutes. I realize these long-term thought experiments can be a little nebulous. So if you're not inspired by these long-term benefits of strength training, allow me to present to you a few benefits of just a single workout. So first is improved sleep quality. Even one workout can increase the quality of that night's sleep. One workout helps muscles soak up blood glucose more effectively, which lowers blood sugar levels right away. If you're new to strength training, then you'll be learning a fun new skill that's great for your brain. Improvements in brain muscle connections happen even within the first week of strength training. And here's an interesting one that I've been thinking about a lot lately. There's so much in the world right now that we can feel helpless about, and doing something for our own strength gives us an anchor when everything else feels kind of crazy. I have shared this on the podcast before, but in case you haven't heard what one of our clients told us via message very recently, I'm emotionally more resilient than I would be if I weren't training right now. Getting stronger doesn't solve world chaos, but it does ground me and help me feel like I can at least dive into my life each day. That sense of resilience that our client is talking about, and all of the health benefits as well that strength training provides, don't come from giant life overhauls. Honestly, just starting with 10 minutes a day is all you need to experience results. Strength training also, by the way, doesn't mean spending your life in a gym. You don't even have to go to a gym at all if you don't want to. Our clients have performed their workouts with resistance bands and their own body weight, everywhere from airports to sailboats, empty conference rooms at the office, campgrounds in the forest, and everywhere in between. My team and I work with clients all over the world, some of whom live in extremely remote places like the middle of outback Australia, 10 hours away from the nearest town, or a tiny boat access only island in Bermuda with only 20 houses on it and no roads. So obviously these places don't have gyms, and yet these folks were able to make significant strength gains by training with resistance bands, suspension trainers, and even truck tires in one case. Remember, cardio helps you live longer and strength helps you live better. But you don't actually get stronger while you're lifting. You get stronger while you're recovering. So that's the next layer of our health and physique change pyramid. More is not always better. The go hard every day mentality is one of the fastest ways to stall progress or get injured. You need to balance your training time with recovery time. For vegan athletes, recovery basics are pretty much the same as for non-vegans. Sleeping enough, taking rest days, doing your mobility work. With a few nutrition tweaks, you need to make sure that you're getting enough leucine, which is a key amino acid for muscle repair. Soy, legumes, pea protein are great sources. And don't skip omega-3s in things like ground flax, chia, hemp seeds, or algae-based oil to keep inflammation in check. The fourth and last layer of our health and body composition hierarchy is cardio and conditioning. It's the very tip of our health pyramid. So cardio is important for heart health and overall fitness, but it should not steal the spotlight from strength training. Think of it as a sidekick, not the main event. You don't have to spend hours on a treadmill. You can walk, bike, you can sprinkle in short, high-intensity interval training sessions. This will all give you the benefits of conditioning without having to block off huge chunks of your calendar. We've now covered the basics: strength, nutrition, recovery, and cardio. But what does this all actually look like when you're juggling kids, work, low energy, travel, or maybe an all-consuming vegan world domination plan? The goal here is not to overhaul your entire existence. It's to build habits that fit into real life. Here are some examples from my own life that involve what I call outsmarting my own brain. I have 4 strength training partners who keep me consistent with my workouts, and I've been working out weekly for 10 years with 2 of them. I co-founded an open water swim club in my city to stay consistent with my own swim training and to make cardio social and fun. When we have treats in the house, which is not always, but when we do, my husband hides them from me. Out of sight, out of mind. And also, don't forget to make things fun and slightly ridiculous. My garage gym has multiple disco light machines, rainbow kettlebells, a colorful mural, and strips of disco bling on my squat rack. So remember that strength training keeps you capable, recovery makes it sustainable, nutrition fuels everything, and cardio supports it. But none of this matters if it doesn't fit into your real life. So start simple. My action item for you is to pick one thing. Lift something heavy twice a week for 10 minutes, or prep a high protein snack, or put some disco lights in your workout space. If you're ready to stop overcomplicating fitness and start getting stronger on plants with a system that actually fits into your existing real life, my coaching team and I would love to work with you. Head to karinainkster.com/coaching to apply, and we'll help you build strength, fuel it with plant-based nutrition, and make it stick long-term. Thanks so much for joining me today. To connect with me, head to our show notes, nobullshitvegan.com/205.
Thanks for listening to the No Bullshit Vegan podcast at nobullshitvegan.com.